Hello, and welcome to the Academic Career Coach Podcast. I am Dr. Loren M. Hill, joining you again. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I have a very, very special guest, Dr. Elaine Parker-Gills. And for those of you who are listeners to the podcast, you have heard me talk about many times my mentor, the person who sort of tapped me early on and encouraged me to be her TA when I was in graduate school, and gave me my first opportunity to teach as an adjunct professor when she was campus president at a local university. It is my pleasure to have with me today my good friend, mentor, colleague, sister friend, Dr. Elaine Parker-Gills. Thank you so much for making time in your busy schedule. I have been trying to get you on here for some time, and now we were finally able to make our schedules match. And so welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you've done for me and all the others out there. So I'm going to stop gushing.
No, keep on. But it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I'm so happy that we can spend a few minutes together, given crazy schedules and all we're trying to do to support in so many areas. But I must say that it's all worth it when I see how you have developed and you are going on to support others and really spreading the word. So it's a pleasure. And being on this podcast is certainly an honor. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I just want to take a little bit of time and talk to you today about sort of your process. You know, it's been a number of years now. We won't say how many, but
no, we won't.
A number of years now since I was your TA in graduate school. And one of the things that I was always sort of encouraged by was your ability to pick people, identify people, I should say, to be your TAs. And it wasn't lost on me that you really went out of your way to encourage, minority students to TA with you, to get the experience of sitting side by side with you, to learn the process of, course curriculum, syllabi, how you did grading and feedback. And so can we talk just a little bit today about why you did that? And let people know you still are faculty and you still identify TAs. And I think that it's really important for people to hear that, because we have some listeners who are still in grad school and who may be weighing the option of becoming a TA.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think my belief system, personally and professionally, I place a very significant emphasis on teaching and learning. And as an African American woman, education is, primary to development. History is primary to doing. And John Dewey talks about learn by doing. And I believe education and teachers and those who are in the helping profession has a lot to do with how we learn and how we develop. And this learn by doing is really postures on, particularly from K through 12 to higher education, a belief system that one only learns by doing themselves, others modeling them, others helping and supporting them. And particularly in higher education, it starts with individuals in the classroom putting themselves in a position that teaching is just not giving assignments or somehow telling people what to do or rote learning. So I've been very fortunate that I've had many models, many role models and individuals that were interested in me, even when I didn't realize that the potential I had. And in particular, I can still remember certain professors in higher education. And in your case, I remember when you were in my classes, and I don't think you even realized the great potential you had and the skills you had. And one of the ways that one can do that is how you select TAs, how you select the individuals within your class community. And in your case, and I can use you as a great example, you were not particularly interested. You didn't see the path that you could really take given that. I mean, you had goals, you've always been really focused and engaged, but you slowly saw that, well, I can use this to further my growth and development. And we know absolutely, even in this day's times, that with so many changes happening, we still don't see ourselves, meaning students of color, and a term that's used more frequently now, students of culture. We do not see ourselves in the classroom in the various capacities. It's very difficult to gain tenure or be a core faculty. And I've been off. I've been adjunct. I've been, coaching. I've learned ways and means to use what I have to support others. Now, academic coaching is absolutely core to development. And when you're going through these paths, you learn how to, self-development and help others, because it is a process. And then many times we are blocked because we do not have mentors. We do not have the resources, and we don't have the people to help show us to develop the resources and how to navigate the system. And I think that is just absolutely core to the development that we are know that's so important.
Well, I'm so glad that you used me as an example, because I use myself as an example all the time. You and I both know that when you approached me about being your TA, I wasn't trying to hear it. I had so many things going on, trying to balance my life and, working on a graduate degree and the stressors of being really sometimes the only BIPOC person in a class. It was a bit overwhelming. And as you mentioned, on top of that, I didn't see myself as someone who could step into a position like that. We often think about, oh, those are advanced students, or those are it's not me. And we don't see ourselves in those positions. So as you mentioned earlier, if we don't see ourselves in those positions, if it's not role modeled to us, or someone doesn't tap us and say, even if you don't see yourself there, I see you there. So I appreciate that, and I acknowledge that, and I tell people that all the time. I was like, Dr. Parker-Gills is the one who said, you can do this, and here's how. And so from there, being your TA, I went on, got into my doctoral program, was thinking about that. And then you became president, campus president, and called me up and said, hey, I want you to join my faculty as adjunct. And I tell people that you essentially gave me my first job in higher ed as an adjunct professor. And you may recall that I was a tad resistant with that as well, because I had great, I was working on my dissertation, I was doing research, trying to balance my life, and I just couldn't see how I could fit it in. And with your encouragement and your coaching, essentially like, don't worry, you can do this. I'm here to support you. Here's how you put together your syllabus. Remember, you sat hip to hip with me as a TA. This is just a next step, essentially, in the process. And so I know that you hired other people. You were very strategic about your appointments, not just your academic appointments, but how you appointed people and promoted them at the institutions, and even other institutions, because you passed my name along to someone at another university, and essentially I just got in on your word. And so can you talk to us a bit about the importance of having allies in other places? Some of these institutions, and not necessarily the institutions, but maybe the people in leaderships tend to see other institutions as competitors. And I get it, because I was an administrator, and you'd rather the student come to your university because that's revenue, that's enrollment. But you seem to not be so territorial and think that if a student or a faculty was a better fit at another place, you had no problem, supporting that relationship. How did you do that?
Well, absolutely. I think, first of all, the business of education is a business.
Yes.
Let's be very clear. We're not in Alice in Wonderland, so we understand. We understand that. But as we began the conversation, I said that the core of who I am as an educator, and I wore many hats, and I think that this learn by doing, it starts with us understanding the role of educators. It is not just standing in front of the classroom. So I've had the benefit of being in many positions. But let's take, for the example, beginning as a TA, what one learns and what I'm looking for, because I see beyond that first position of a TA, of the syllabus. I see communication skills. I see how you can pass on knowledge for others that can enrich them so they help in other situations. I also think that it's so important that we realize, we talk about navigating, we understand the process and we understand what we need. And I think more than anything now, we have to have take advantage of opportunities and say, oh, okay, so I'm going to be helping someone navigate a system for their career. How do I coach? How do I help them see themselves in roles? How do I support and help them navigate to get resources? So every position that I'm in, I'm saying, oh, how can I get these resources to help build for not just others, but myself, so that I can help others? And if I can really help get individuals grounded, to see their paths, to get them focused, to see them the systemic steps that are necessary, then we find ourselves seeing a broader spectrum and seeing how, and we're willing to take risks because we have a bit more confidence. And coaching and career advancement we've really been lacking. We've not had the individuals that are willing to take the time, because there's been so many barriers for us, particularly men and women of color. And I would say that the very fact that you have this podcast, the very fact that you been very strategic, and working with individuals to help them go further. And I noticed that you have been very, and I'm happy to say I may have played a role in that, because you look at things from a very holistic standpoint.
Mhm.
And that is so important. And I think a wonderful example is recently the confirmation hearings with
Yes.
the would most likely be the first woman going to the Supreme Court, and the number of how she's been strategic out her career
Yes.
and have had to work very, very hard. But along the way, there have been individuals that have played key roles to help her navigate the system. And we all know institutional racism. We all know how the whole process of women and how women, and not only academia, but the law, whatever, there are individuals that are going to have to step forward to help us navigate, to help us see the system. I can name 4 or 5 men and women that supported my efforts.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
it's not haphazard. It is not just by chance.
Right.
You have to really say, okay, it starts with seeing oneself. It starts with how will we, make a difference? And that's so casually talked about all the time. How can I make a difference? But in this area and field that we're in, it is essential to see oneself at a certain point. It's
Mhm.
essential to learn how to help others see the path to get their objectives and get to the outcomes that they see, and
Mhm.
not be blindsided
Right.
or see things through rose-colored glasses. Uh,
Yes.
we have moved and elevated ourselves because of the fact that we see at each step the barriers. They can be removed by the individuals, but also it's a collected effort.
Mhm.
And I
And
would say that even podcasts and other areas to help one communicate and hear and see what is going on are excellent examples of how we coach and how we dissect particular careers and see how those careers can support further development. Uh, Many times we get stuck in one area.
mhm. And so
It's,
when you
yeah.
were saying this is all great stuff, and so as you were saying, essentially see the bigger picture, right? And how you in all of your roles in higher ed, and even in your coaching and your consulting, and your career has been so varied and rich, that you've been in leadership positions. You've been, you know, a COO. You've worked in the nonprofit space. You had a school, right? And so this big picture and seeing how people fit in different places really is sort of part and parcel as to why you can say, you know what, you might be better fit at another university, not in a negative
Mhm.
way, but maybe
That climate
that
might work
climate,
best.
that environment will suit you better. You could fly higher. You can get some stuff done here, but hey, round the corner over there, that
Yeah.
might be better for you. And so when we think about that, that big picture view, and you modeling that and coaching and your mentors and people that you've touched, many people over the years and who have benefited from it, I will support you saying that yes, you have had a hand in my sort of visionary processes. And yes, it is a business, as you said. Higher ed is big business. But, it's more than that, it's people, right? And so if
Yes.
someone's at an institution where the fit isn't good, we can help coach them along to move somewhere else. Now, some of the research that you are partnering with right now has to do with sort of women's narratives and BIPOC, more specifically, who are in leadership positions and hearing their stories. And it's not lost on me that oftentimes we are not heard. Right. So I applaud this research that you're working on now, where stories are being captured, memorialized, turned into data, and the resources that you are providing for that research. So as we come to sort of the almost the end of our time, I wish that we had more time with you. And I wish that the people, we could just cram into this time how much wisdom and knowledge that you've passed on to me and others. But what would be, maybe two takeaways that you can give to someone who's listening, who, maybe they're an early career, faculty, or maybe maybe they're tenured and they're just having some thoughts, or you've been an administrator. What would be some things, 2 or 3 things that you could say to folks to leave them with to think about?
Well, more recently, or most recently, I'm in a task force that's looking at inclusion, equity, and engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm of the opinion that when you are in a particular setting, or let's say, and particularly if you are in fact in leadership, this is why I've been involved from higher education, nonprofits, community-based organizations, and businesses. If you are a faculty leader, if you are a doer, number one, have to be an active listener.
Yes.
You have to surround yourself. And when I say surround yourself, is where you're placed, where you find yourself. You grow there, it doesn't mean that you won't be somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But when you find yourself in a given organization, their particular climate, the cultural mores, the type of leaders they have, you immerse yourself. Active listener, but you have to have humility. And it's not like for everybody that looks like you or doesn't look like you. You're
Right.
listening to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to have a sense of self and a sense of humility and a sense of, social justice is part of my core, this learn by doing. So when you have that balance, you're going to listen to others. You may even disagree, but you're going to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, I would say how to communicate. So along with active listening, how do you communicate? Because everyone has their areas that they really need support. Most of the time when we get to these males that are in leadership, and then you get to some women that a certain position, they stop listening. They don't want to communicate. Yes. Because their comfort level, or they think they may lose something. But you have to be the one, because the more you learn, the more you're able to share, and the stronger you get. So that communicating, how you can capture the resources, and if you have someone you're coaching, how they strategize, how they listen, how they learn, how to connect, and be aware of who in fact are in the learning circle. And it's the individual and it's the collective. So for me, and that never fails. There was a recent meeting of the task force, and they were talking about bringing in other individuals. And I was the one asking all the questions. So who are these individuals?
Yes.
What are their background? And I can tell from that where we were going to go with the group.
Mm-hmm.
We had several meetings, but they're bringing someone new in. But I could see how that person might connect. I went back immediately because I'm working with a small student group, and we discussed that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be afraid to venture out.
So
your experiences for those that you're coaching, they're going to learn from your experiences.
Yes.
They're going to learn from things that worked, didn't work, what you're currently doing, your engagement in the community.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things really help develop the kind of individuals that will be able to navigate the system and support others and really support themselves. You were going to say, and
so yes, I was
very difficult sometimes.
Yeah, yes, it can be challenging. And I was just saying came to mind, and I can't think of the author right now, but I think it might capture the spirit of what you were saying. And that is, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So if you seek first to understand, that's that active listening, right? That's that engagement and being there and just kind of taking it in, right? So understanding the system that you're involved in, listening to who's in the circle, even going outside the circle. And once we have an understanding, then we can seek to be understood. So that would be, opening up, talking about what's going on, getting some clarification. And so Dr. Parker-Gills, I am again so honored to have had you as our special guest today. And I appreciate everything that you have poured into me and continue to pour into me and others. And I just wish you continued success, and I know you will have it. And thank you for all of your pearls of wisdom that you shared with us today.
Well, it's been my honor. And while it was difficult getting our scheduling together, perhaps we can do this again.
Yeah,
I think that it's important work that you're doing. It's engaging, and it's so very much needed. And it just goes back to this communication. It goes back to the talking and doing and giving and listening. And as Baldwin always talked about, it is about the history is now. And we carry that, and how we tell our stories and how we engage and touch others makes a difference. And I say that you've been doing great, and I see even greater things for you, and so blessed that the people that you are working with, they're going to be making differences too. And we're going to keep doing it.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Today, our special guest was Dr. Elaine Parker-Gills, and I am your academic career coach, Dr. Loren M. Hill. Thank you again for tuning in.